Cal, you got us? Yes. Do a double check. Good morning, Genesis family. Please stand up and let's sing our opening song.
I'm in the right place at the right time. I am just where I'm supposed to be. I'm in the right place at the right time. I'm just where I'm supposed to be. I'm in the right place at the right time. I am just where I'm supposed to be. I'm in the right place at the right time. I am just where I'm supposed to be. Oh, my soul is welcome here. Oh, my soul is welcome here. I am getting the message loud and clear. My soul is welcome here. I'm in the right place at the right time. I am just where I'm supposed to be. I'm in the right place at the right time. I am just what I'm supposed to be. Oh, my soul is welcome here. Oh, my soul is welcome here. I am getting the message loud and clear. My soul is welcome here. Oh, my soul is welcome here. Oh, my soul is welcome here. I am getting the message loud and clear. My soul is welcome here. I am getting the message loud and clear. My soul is welcome here.
Yeah, each of us and all of us. Welcome in. My name is Karen Williams, and I'm a practitioner here at Genesis Center for Spiritual Living. And I'm going to be guiding us through the beginning portion of our service. Genesis is a community, just to let you know. For those of you who are here for the first time, I'm delighted to see you. Genesis is a community that's dedicated to love. We are inspiring harmony. We are creating connections and empowering spiritual growth. And we love that you're here to share that with us, to do that with us. Our online host today, for those of you on social media, is Cal Boyle. I know, I got you. If this is your first time watching online, please go ahead and give us your name and tell us how you found us. If you are family, please let Cal know that you are here. We all want to know that you're here because we miss your in-person presence, but we're glad that you're joining us online. We are going to read our mission and vision statements together, please. Here they are. Our mission. We are building a vibrant community, cultivating a garden of spiritual growth, honoring vulnerability, creating a safe place of comfort and peace where all are welcomed and accepted. And our vision. Genesis is a bright beacon with an unshakable heart of love, accepting all. It's a home for the soul where we each creatively express our spiritual brilliance. I love that we each have spiritual brilliance. It is our birthright. It is part of our nature, our very nature. There's nothing that we can do to escape it besides deny it and avoid it and turn away from it. So we're here to support you. Yeah, I went there. Weird, weird. We're here to help you not do those things. Good job. All right, we're going to do our announcements. Today, we have a visioning workshop. This is led by Reverend Rose Studer and Cynthia Zink, our practitioner here. We will experience meditation, active listening, and the joy of creating vision boards in the company of like-minded individuals. I'm really excited to do that, and I hope that some of you are here and are going to stay to take the opportunity to put your vision on a board that you can see that supports you in your life. We have an additional class coming up called Spiritual Principles and Practices, and it begins February 22nd. In this class, students will embark on a profound journey of self-discovery, spiritual growth, and intentional manifestation by understanding the principles, practices, and methods employed by the Science of Mind teachings. Align your desires with spiritual wisdom by identifying a personal intention and connecting it to the relevant principles and practices. And so I'm seeing here that it's a natural complement to our vision board, right? You have your vision, and then if you're able to take this class, it supports you in those tools and those methods and those ways to support you in achieving that vision. So this class takes place on Zoom, and it takes place during the lunch hour. So it's a daytime class if you're able on Thursdays. So lunch hour, 12, doesn't really say here. Okay, great. 11:30 to 2, the lunch hour. So this class is facilitated by our practitioner, Christine S. Young, and tuition is only $170, and that is until February 11, so it's kind of like an early bird thing. Get your registration in, then after that, it's $200. So it's kind of, if you're gonna register late, it's gonna cost you a bit more. Register or get more information online or at our welcome table here. I believe we have registration forms if you wanna do it by hand, which is kind of how I like to do things most of the time. Next, Christy Randolph is hosting a mindful eating group. If you don't know who Christy Randolph is, here she is, Reverend James' lovely partner in life, Christy. We know her as Christy. Christy Randolph. Hosting a mindful eating group on Monday nights via Zoom from 8:30 to 9. So really brief, short kind of check-in. The goals are to support each other on staying on our eating path, share successes and challenges, and eating hacks. Also sharing favorite recipes. If you would like to be a part of this group, please connect with Christy here at the service or email her at randolph.christykase@gmail.com. Okay. Want to connect with community, deepen spiritual growth, and create lasting friendships? Yes. We do that at Genesis in care circles, and it's just exactly how it sounds. It's a place where we care for each other. We meet at least once a month. We have formal meetings once a month in a member's home or via Zoom to do spiritual practice, share, care, and connect. If you're not in a care circle and are interested in having that sort of support and connection, please connect with me after service via Facebook, Karen L. Williams, RSCP, on Facebook, or my email is also Karen L. Williams, RSCP, @gmail.com. We typically do a book study after service where we just sit for an hour and we talk about the concepts and ideas or just read together. We're not actually going to do that today because we're doing a vision board workshop. Yay! And last but not least, I just want to, as a representative of Genesis, thank everyone for your pledges. It has assisted our board in creating a budget and a plan for the year so that we can really take advantage of this community and what we offer and our new minister and really create something special and unique. So thank you. Any first-time guests, Cal, online? So if you're here for the first time and you're willing, could you just raise your hand and just tell us who you are?
My name's Roxanne.
Roxanne?
Been to Becca's for almost 30 years.
Fantastic. Fantastic. And you're attending the workshop afterwards, right? Great. Double dipping. Hi, Haley. It's good to see you. It's good to meet you. Okay, great. So good to have new energy in the house. It's good for us because we have to be in our game, which I seem like I might not be today. What am I doing? I'm having fun with my community. I love you all so much. Do you know that if you do this when you are on a FaceTime, that little hearts will burst out onto the screen? Just found that out. I was FaceTiming with my son, and I was like, I love you. And all these little hearts started coming out. And he's like, right? I got something first. I got to teach my son what was happening, what was current and new and great. It surprised the heck out of me, too. You guys, let's stand up and do our meet and greet, mingle and say hi to each other. We love to be together. There is love in the house today. I want to thank those who have been in service today and who continue to be in service today. We have a setup and cleanup crew. That was Eric, Soren, and Gideon. Our morning greeter this morning was Christy. Our projector and video in the back is Mike and Eric, as per. Love you guys. Our offering collection is done this morning by Gideon. Where is Gideon? Okay, never mind. Our sound tech is Soren. Hi, Soren. He's so quiet. Right? Yeah, little of that. Join me. Online host is Cal, and our service practitioner today is Dave Pennick. More from Dave in a minute. I do want to tell you, though, about our practitioners, and not only do they do this service when he comes up and anchors us before our message, but he's also available after service. All of our practitioners are. Sometimes you'll see us in these handy-dandy stoles. Sometimes not. We're here. And if you see somebody that you want to talk to, we're always available. Dave's special moment is today. So if you have something that you want to celebrate, something that you need clarity on, something that is making you feel outside of that spiritual brilliance, take a minute to speak with Dave, right? And just get a quick, what we call a quick hit of prayer. And he'll be kind of over here so you can have some privacy as much as is possible in this space after service. So let's stand. Oh, no, we're not going to stand, sorry. We're going to sing our centering song now.
I breathe and turn within. I breathe and turn within. I open up my heart and feel God's presence. I breathe and turn within. I breathe and turn within. I open up my heart and feel God's love. I breathe and turn within. I breathe and turn within. I open up my heart and feel God's presence. I breathe and turn within. I breathe and turn within. I open up my heart and feel God's love. I sing and turn within. I sing and turn within. I open up my heart and feel God's presence. I sing and turn within. I pray and turn within. I open up my heart and feel God's love. I sing and turn within. I sing and turn within. I open up my heart and feel God's presence. I sing and turn within. I sing and turn within. I open up my heart and feel God's love. I open up my heart and feel God's love. I open up my heart and feel God's
Good morning, everyone. We have a great reading for you all today. So today's reading comes from Living the Science of Mind. And I think that it fits nicely in with today's message. One of our most common dreams is that we are unhappy, that nothing ever works out right for us, that people do not like us, that life is against us, and that nothing good is ever going to happen. And because there is a law of mind which operates on our thought, we begin to create situations which look like our dreams. And in reality, they are our dreams. Then we bow down them before them in fear, and we feel we are victims of a fate beyond our control. To what extent are we all dreaming? In our dreams, seeing the monsters with terrible forms that we have unconsciously built up in our minds. And we too are asking these forms, what are you going to do with me? What terrible future do you have in store? What awful experience is hard to come now? Perhaps we are still asleep and have not quite the courage to ask these phantom forms what they are going to do with us, or listen to the only reply they can make. There is nothing we can do to you. What are you going to do to us? We are your creations, you know. Let us pray. Becca, if you want to give me a little praying music, that would be awesome. We'll close our eyes and breathe in. And we'll just know that we are the expressions of the divine. We are expressions of the whole. We are expressions of the one. We are all a part of that one. We are a part of that one life, that one love, that one wholeness that is within us. And we realize that right now that any fears that come up to us, anything that comes into our lives, anything that is a part of our creation. And we can stand up to that fear and we can say, we are more powerful than you because we have the living spirit within inside us right here, right now. It is our choice, our actions, in our mind, in that spirit of us that guides us. And so let's have faith in that. Let us have faith in ourselves, knowing that the love that we share, the compassion that we are, the presence that we are, the life that we are, the spirit that we are, shines out into this world, and that we have nothing to fear. We have nothing to fear. We have nothing to fear because we have the spirit within inside us, and that spirit within inside us shines its spiritual brilliance. It's spiritual brilliance because that is the truth of who we are. And so I realize that brilliance, I realize that expression, I realize that powerful presence within each and every single one of us right here and right now in all that we do and in all that we say and all that we breathe in all of our life and all that we express. And so we may send that out into this world. And I give great thanks for this knowing. I give great thanks for this truth. I give great thanks for this life, for this belief, for this community, for Genesis itself, for that is the spirit of us. I send that love out into this universe, knowing that spirit says yes. It says yes to all of it. I call it good. I call it God. And so it is. And so with that, we will continue to hear Becca Palm's brilliance as I invite her beautiful talent.
Thank you. So I have to admit, I've never done this song in a church before. And I have to admit that if it weren't Genesis, I probably wouldn't. I put this together when I was 18 years old, which was a little while ago. And I hope it sets up well what we're going to talk about this morning. Sometimes flannel, sometimes silk, sometimes beer and sometimes milk, pink pink and frilly, nasty and black, laid back and lazy and sharp as a tack. Dear society, don't make me choose between one or the other. Could be a student, a teacher, a friend, or a child, or also a mother. Should boys be Mr. Man? Should girls be Little Miss? Should the boy be the only one who initiates the kiss? Things have been changing, even toys. Now there's baseball gloves and science kits for girls, and baby dolls for boys. Dear society, please teach our sons they can laugh and touch and still be a man. Free your daughters from the roles of the thoughts that confine them. Help them be all they can. Sometimes high heels, sometimes tennis shoes, heavy metal opera and the Delta blues. Love to learn and yearn to discover how to be playful and sexy, both a friend and a lover. Dear society, I'm black and I'm white, and sometimes I'm more than gray. I'm red and brown and I'm yellow too. Don't ignore me, 'cause I won't go away. How I'm here to stay. I'm here to stay.
Thank you, Becca. It's amazing as usual. So I want everybody to have a happy Imbolc. Imbolc is this is a Celtic holiday. So from the Irish tradition, there's Yule is the winter solstice, and Ostara is the beginning of spring, and Imbolc it's when winter is just beginning to end, and it's close enough to spring that we are starting to plan our garden. Christy wants to have an herb garden, and so we're thinking about what herbs we're going to plant and how we're going to keep the rabbits away. We have a rabbit garden too, that they're welcome to, but not our herbs. Yeah, winter's coming to an end, spring is drawing near. It's the awakening, rebirth, and renewal of life. The pagan goddess Bridget is celebrated during this time. This is the goddess of fertility, healing, creativity, poetry, and inspiration. And it's a very inspiring time of year. Every day when the weather isn't freezing cold, we feel like it's spring. So we are set with a fresh new energy, and it's a great time to practice reflection. And so Imbolc is a perfect day to have our vision board workshop, because we're all inspired to plan for our beautiful spring upcoming. But here we are, lessons in uncomfortability. And uncomfortability isn't really proper English. Usually you say discomfort. But I'm using uncomfortability because it seems more like a temporary thing. Discomfort is like something physical that you put up with. And uncomfortability relates to being uncomfortable, moving out of your comfort zone. So we're deliberately making bring ourselves into uncomfortability just for long enough to be able to expand into our true selves. We're going to be talking about Harriet Tubman, and one of the things we want to know about Harriet Tubman, I've been a fan of hers for many years. To me, she's like a superhero. And she changed her name like a superhero. And a lot of people change their names when they come into their spirituality. It is a way to set aside your old self and move into your new self. And Harriet Tubman, as an enslaved person, was named Araminta Ross, which is okay, but when she became a free person, she became Harriet Tubman. And we'll talk more about that. I'll also talk a bit about some good news. Chilean miners. There were a group of 33 miners. It's a long time ago, 2010, but I remember it because it was worldwide. Everybody in the world was wanting these guys to get out, and it took 69 days. But they had a secret when they got out, and the secret is something that's going to be useful to us. But let's move into uncomfortability. So this relates to shadow work. And the shadows, as you remember, these are aspects of ourselves that we don't like, we don't want, we're sort of disowning them. The part of us that's afraid, the part of us that's clingy, the part of us that, wishes our parents took better care of us. And we've got these, and they're there even though we've been ignoring them. And so getting to know our shadows better is part of moving. You have to move out of your comfort zone because we're quite comfortable ignoring our shadows and pretending they don't exist. And when we start paying attention to them, that can feel uncomfortable. But really, it's better because they're around us. Our first experience with moving out of our comfort zone is when we're born. It is nice and warm and cozy and wet in the womb. And why would we want to get out? I mean, we just need a little more space in here. But no, that's how we end up being born. We need a little more space, and we move through profound discomfort in order to have too much space, but we adapt to the world. And so it is a lot like growing up and being birthed into what we'd like to be. We're also, last week we talked a lot about wood dragons, because in the Chinese New Year we're moving into the wood dragon phase. And I brought this time almond cookies, special wood dragon almond cookies for people who want to celebrate. But the whole year upcoming is going to be the dragon year. Harriet Tubman is a dragon. She's a metal dragon, unlike the wood dragons. Let's jump to her. So metal represents strength, clarity, and precision. Last week we actually did our 5-element Tai Chi, so we got to go through the metal part of strength, clarity, and precision. And dragons, we remember. So the dragon year represents charisma, confidence, and enthusiasm. Because we're going into a wood dragon year, it's about new growth and new energy. Harriet Tubman, when she was born, is about strength, clarity, and precision, confidence, charisma, ambitious, leadership, innovative, and enjoys taking risks. So Araminta was born, she was the 5th of 9 children. Her mother was named Harriet Ritt Green, and her father was named Ben Ross. It's important about 5th of 9 children because she ended up bringing everybody in her family to freedom. So they didn't know that when she was born. the one story I want to tell, two stories I want to tell about her as an enslaved person. She was 11 years old, and she was in the general store, and there was a commotion because there was an enslaved person who didn't have permission to be in the store, and the overseer saw this person and was trying to get the person, and Araminta somehow ended up in their way. We don't know that she put herself in the way in order to let the person get away, but we know that she was in the way. And then the overseer, seeing that the person who he wanted to grab had run out of his reach, picked up a heavy weight and threw it as hard as he could, meaning to hit the person escaping. But instead, he hit Araminta Ross, who crumpled and fell to the floor, unconscious. And she got up, and it turned out that this led to her having blackouts, spontaneous blackouts throughout her life. That's sort of the downside. The upside was she saw God. When she was unconscious, we live in two worlds. We live in the world of the divine and the world of our bodies. And when that rock hit, when the blackouts hit, Araminta went straight into the world of the divine. And she knew her true self. She knew freedom. She knew power. She knew joy and fundamental peace and well-being. And then she woke up, and she was Araminta Ross and had to do her slavely things again, her enslaved duties. She ended up getting married, and she married somebody who was free, John Tubman. And he was happy being free. And I think, it doesn't say this, she actually, she co-wrote a biography later on. And it doesn't say this, but I think that getting married to somebody who was free might have ignited more of an urge for freedom in her. The other thing they talk about was that there were rumors going around that members of her family were going to be sold. Maybe even she might be sold to another place, and then she would be separated from her husband, who could move along with her if he was willing. So she had decided that she was going to become free. She lived in Maryland, and she needed to make it. It was about 100 miles to get to Pennsylvania, which was a free state. And first she talked to her husband, and he was like, "No way, I'm already free. I'm not going to take the chance to be free in a different state. I might get in trouble for helping a slave escape." But she took her two brothers with her, her two older brothers, and they started off one night, and the brothers got scared, and they went back home. So Araminta was there by herself in the woods. But she'd been told of the first place to go, and she used the Underground Railroad to go, and this was a bunch of people who had places where they would hide you during the day, and they'd feed you and make sure you had what you needed to go, and they'd send you to the next station in the Underground Railroad. And so the people traveling this would hide out during the day and travel at night. Araminta, when she went to the first place, she wasn't sure. She was, this is a time for affirmation. So let's say it together. I expand beyond my comfort zone and trust the goodness of the universe to support me. One more time. I expand beyond my comfort zone and trust the goodness of the universe to support me. So she was trusting this person to support her, and that person did. And in fact, she was supported. She made it to freedom, and then she got a job as a free person in Pennsylvania. She moved to Philadelphia, but all she wanted to do was go back and free her family. It bothered her that her family were not free people. And so she risked her freedom to go back and collect the members of her family. She was called the Moses of her people. She brought over 70 people to freedom. And Moses, of course, was, he was an Israeli living in Egypt thousands of years ago who by the cleverness of his sister, ended up becoming a member of the an adopted member of the royal family. But he left his comfort zone to escape and then went back, and he helped all the Israelis escape from slavery into freedom. And this is Harriet Tubman. She recognized sadly, she wasn't in the Egyptian royal family, but she did help her people escape to freedom. So she took the name Harriet Tubman. Harriet was her mother's name, and Tubman was her husband's name as her free person name. But because they noticed that her whole family was going free, and then dozens of other people too, they put a price on her head. It was $40,000 to bring her back. And $40,000 in today's money is almost $1 million. So she was very notorious. She was, they were willing to do a lot because I think she was inspirational to a lot of people, the Moses of her people. She got into a couple of jams. At one point, she was walking down the street of Charleston, Maryland, and she noticed her old master. And what she did, she had chickens in her hands, and she threw the chickens in the air, and they started squawking and flapping, and the master just turned away from the chickens. and Harriet just sort of slunk into the shadows, and so he never noticed her. And other times she was at a train station, and the slave catchers came into the train station. And so she took all her people who she was guiding, and they got onto the southbound train, heading deeper into the slave states. And the slave hunters looked at all the seats on the northbound train, couldn't find them. So they got away, and then eventually they got off at a station and got tickets north again when there weren't slave hunters looking for them. So this is the sort of excitement you have when you've got someone. And when we're escaping from our comfort zone, it isn't always easy. But we know there's freedom, and we know there's goodness in the universe. She got to rely not only on all the people in the Underground Railroad, and I know, it's funny, I grew up in Connecticut, and there were a bunch of houses that had secret rooms that they said were part of the people who lived there said were part of the Underground Railroad. And I mean, Connecticut wasn't always has been a free state, but possibly there was a time before the Civil War where it was illegal to have a freed slave even in free states. And so you needed to go all the way to Canada. In fact, this is what happened with Harriet. She wanted to free her parents, but by the time her parents had no kids left, she'd taken them all. And they weren't up to making the long 100-mile walk to the border. So she got a wagon, and she put them in the wagon, and they rode on the wagon, and they managed to escape, and she brought them all the way to Canada. And they stayed in Canada where they were safe, because Canada didn't allow slave hunters to extradite anybody from Canada. So they typically left on Saturday nights because they got Sundays off, which was nice. And so they would already have a one-day head start before the slave hunters began to look for them. Although sometimes what they do is they would just camp out in the woods near where they lived till like Wednesday or Thursday, waiting for the slave hunters to give up, because they looked north, they looked everywhere, but they didn't think to look in their backyard. So At some point, after she'd freed her whole family and dozens of other people, the Civil War started. And Harriet became a spy and a spy master and a scout because she knew all the swamps of Maryland. And so she helped guide the Union armies, and she recruited spies who lived in the South who would tell about troop movements and anything they needed to know. She became a nurse too because she knew all kinds of herbal healing methods. Basically, she was the first aid on the trips of the Underground Railroad, so she had to do whatever it took. And this is something that happens to us all when we're escaping our comfort zone. It's not always easy. We'll trip up. We need to be able to take care of ourselves. You know, we use spiritual mind treatment, but it's like treat and move your feet. We want to get the divine, and we also want to do the practical thing. There's a Combahee River raid in 1863 where Harriet got on a gunboat with a Union colonel, and they went up the river, and she went and she freed 700 or 800 people. And they went and they took all the supplies from the plantations and put them on the gunboat, and then they told everybody who, if they wanted to, they could be free, and they drove them back to the north. So she actually, the number of people she personally freed is up around 1,000. So that's a real Moses. But it turns out they didn't pay her though. They didn't think about that. So what she would do at night when everybody else was sleeping, she would go and cook, and she cooked gingerbread, and she'd sell people gingerbread in order to make enough money to survive while she was in the army. After the war, she went home and she'd bought a home in Auburn, New York, upstate New York near Canada. But she got behind on the mortgage. And this is a case of like bad news for her turned into good news because she met an author who co-wrote a biography with her that was a bestseller and enabled her to pay off all her debts, buy her house, buy the piece of land next door, and she built an old folks home, which in 1869 there weren't a whole lot of them, but her parents needed a lot of care, and she thought, why is it just them? You know, I don't just look after, formerly enslaved people. She also looked after the elderly. Queen Victoria heard about her and thought she was amazing. And so Queen Victoria awarded her a silver medal, a silk shawl, and a cash stipend. And she used the cash stipend to support the old folks' home next to her regular home. She wore I couldn't find a photo, but I hear that she wore the silk scarf all the time. Oh, and women's rights. She, of course, advocated for women's suffrage. She worked with Susan B. Anthony to make sure that women had the right to vote. So she lived until age 91. She got married again, and her second husband, they were married for about 20 years before he died. And she's, you heard a few years ago that Harriet Tubman is going to be on the $20 bill. Originally, she was going to be on the $10 bill, but then people discovered that Alexander Hamilton, through the musical Hamilton, they discovered Hamilton is actually cooler than anybody knew. I mean, really, when I was a kid, Hamilton was like, yeah, he was like the Federal Reserve. And he was against Jefferson, and like, oh, but look, when you put it in hip hop, it's much more interesting. So she's going to be on the $20 bill. Interestingly, it's not going to be until 2030 or maybe 2032 that they'll start printing Tubman 20s. But it makes sense. Andrew Jackson, he has done some interesting things, but he has done so many awful, horrible things that everybody's life is a mixed bag, but his is more mixed than most. Certainly for somebody to be on the $20 bill. So Harriet will eventually get to be on the $20 bill. She said, God's time, emancipation is God's time. And this makes sense. God lives outside of time and space, and we're all free. So God's time is always near. God set the North Star in the heavens and gave me the strength in my limbs. God meant I should be free. And she told this to everybody who came with her. Sometimes people wanted to turn back once they were part of the gang. She couldn't let them. So another story you always hear about her is that she had a revolver with her. And she said, I'll have to kill you before I let you leave because they'll torture all the secrets out of you. So nobody left. She never had to use the gun. She could have used the squirt gun. But she made sure, if you started with her, except for her two brothers, but they came the second trip. So Harriet Tubman, when we move out of our comfort zone, I think we do find ourselves free. We're trapped by our shadows. We are trapped by our fears. We are trapped by, unknown things. And when we're willing to move beyond, we can empower ourselves, and we can move, and we can take whatever steps are needed. I want to teach you something Karen Williams taught me in a class recently, which is a haiku spiritual mind treatment. So I like it because it's short, sweet, and powerful. And I'll explain it for a minute. It starts off with God is. And those are just two little words. But really, God is the isness in which we live. Every aspect of God is